Good day and good evening, and welcome to the Extreme Countdown with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. This time, we're going to see if we can, how many people we need to actually beat Leviathan Extreme Synced. So just to say immediately, yes, you could make it hard by doing it minimum item level, no echo, but that's not what we're doing. I'm pretty sure that we would be 40% weaker, right out the gate, if we did that, which kind of defeats the point. What we're doing is trying to see if you landed in this fight under normal circumstances, how strong would you be? How many people do you need? A typical way this happens is in mental roulette. We're going to see if we can stay on topic. Act like nothing happened. Act like we're 45 minutes late for no reason. But that's what we're doing. So, I need a group of volunteers, and every time we beat the fight successfully, we need a volunteer to step out. And then we'll try again with one less person. And we'll try until either we can't beat it, and it means, or we reach a point where obviously there's no point in trying. For example, with Shiva, we tried because it looked like it was possible. We actually got pretty far. With Ramu, we managed to beat the intermissions, soft enrage timer by a second with 3 players, so there was no point trying. And that's the reason why we stopped at 3 there, while we attempted with 2 on Shiva. This time, I don't know how far we go. With that said, hey Ogni, hey Vince, hey Zaf, hey Bubumet, hey Caetsu, hey Seras, hey Rust, hey Girahin, hey Matthew, hey Eaterit, hey Fatman, hey Kaze, hey Ham, hey Terry, hey Kiyu, hey Tristan, hey Angel, hey Amelia, Amelia Ray, hey Zaf, and I hope you're all doing very well. So, before we get right into it, I know some people will be like, well, I would like to join, but I've never done Leviathan Extreme before. Well, good news, neither have I. So I looked up how to do it. So let's talk about that for a bit. The important things is, Leviathan doesn't, like many Realm Reborn Extremes, it doesn't do that many things. It's just that the things that he does do are really something you have to respect or deal with correctly. For example, when he summons these Ahagin ads, supposedly they enrage in some way or another. They actually get extremely mad if you ignore them, so they have to die. And that means that every time there comes a wave of ads, we just have to deal with that and kill them somehow. Because we can't handle it if we let them be. We might let them be at first, or be kind of sloppy with it when we're 8 to see what happens. Another thing is that the gyrospumes that you might have seen on Heart, the weird yellow blobs, they steal the power from the elemental converter. And if the elemental converter is too weak when we need it, then we wipe. Simple as that. So those also need to be killed on sight. Which means that with Shiva, there was an ad phase, but other than that, there was a pretty finite amount of things we had to kill. With Ramu, there was an ad phase, but again, pretty finite amount of things to kill. With Leviathan, it feels like, and this isn't really true, but it feels like as the fight progresses, it's almost like Leviathan's HP bar just extends past its limits. Because it just keeps, adding more and more things you have to kill first. That is the primary thing. After that, now we can talk about Leviathan. Is it his head or his tail? I should probably look this up so I say it right. Mm. Mm. Almost there. Thank you, Ham. I couldn't find it on the page. The tail reflects magic. And the head reflects ranged. The key here... Is it the tail specifically that gives the debuff, Zaf? Is it? Like, I have heard that that one of the parts gives it. But if it is the tail, that helps us in a way. This wave tooth specifically causes fear and leaves a puddle that gives fear. It can be stunned before it starts casting it. I think when it's at like 75%. If you stun it while it's casting it, it still goes through. So you can't stun it. Or you have to stun it beforehand. Yeah, so... An interesting possibility that we discussed briefly in the connection, in the context of Extreme Countdown is maybe you don't need 2 tanks. It's a really big maybe with like blaring lights on it, just we don't know. Maybe because I believe the tail just shoots ranged attacks at you if you're not close enough. So you can just taunt it and then tank the head. Hey, welcome to the Cult of the Pink, Saras. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope you enjoyed the emotes. And also, hey Fila, and Just a Bro, no? Hope you're doing well. Well, Just a Bro, you know, right? You're both doing well. Makes healing a pain, I could imagine. So, here's something weird. And this is the part where if you've never done Leviathan on Extreme, but know it on Hard, is when things get really wacky. The tail, as Sarv said, and I believe Sarv said, puts a debuff on whoever's tanking it called Briny Mirror. What this does is when you cast a heal on the person with the Briny Mirror directly, like heal them directly, it applies a stack of a debuff on the user of the heal, so the healer, which reduces their range and reduces their healing efficiency, like their healing done or something to that effect. According to the page I found, and here's the thing, it's the same page that said that the increased sentence reduces the timer on the ad phase on Rameau, says that indirect healing in one way or another doesn't activate it. So, for example, I'm guessing Regen activates it because you gave the tank a buff, and then the healing after that is just fine. Similarly, Sinistry is a type of healing over time. Like, it heals like a heal over time effect. It's just, like, you apply the buff, you get a stack. Which means that there is a chance, if you just have one tank, there's a chance, I don't know if it's enough, but there is a chance that something like 2 Scholars with Cardia on the tank might be very good. And the reason why it specifically would be Sages with Cardia is because while Eos would probably be fine, Eos has a problem with concentrating. Hey, Dream Idol Wrestling, you have not missed the run. We're preparing to get it started. We haven't started yet. And hey, Arcane Bavarian, we are on Louisoix Chaos. And yeah, I did mean Sage if I said Scholar. Scholar wouldn't really work as well, was what I was getting at. Because EOS has a concentration problem. If someone else gets hit hard, then EOS will be like, oop, you're more important, and heal them. And the problem is that the scholar in question could probably do that. It is a little concerning that AoE healing isn't fine, because that does mean that we will have to rely heavily on single target healing, potentially. But we'll have to see. And I'm sure some of you went, wait, did he say 2 healers? Yes, I said 2 healers. If 2 healers, like, indirectly healing the tank with, like, something like Cardia doesn't work, like, if that isn't enough, and it might not be, it wouldn't surprise me if it's not, like, then we would need to heal properly. And the way you deal with this mechanic is that I believe the idea is that you have this a sort of like an inverse tank switch, also what I would call a healer switch. The healer who heals the tank is flipped so that you can, you know, drop the stacks and alternate who's maintaining the tank. And if that's the way we do it, then, like, if you only have one healer, it's not going to work. Like, it's flat out not going to work. Because, like, as your stacks build up, you would also be incapable of healing everyone else. Nope, not like that, Imia. But, close to. So hey, Hobson and Vivi and Not the Wheel. Hope you're doing well. So that's kind of it. The only other things beyond that, I believe, in this fight that really, really matters is when the boss drops, you know, goes under the water, then we will have to use the elemental conversion thing to survive it. And on Extreme, there is, I believe he usually leads with something else than what he does on Hard. So on Hard, you usually see that Leviathan goes under the water, and then, you know, you click the button, and then he circles in and does damage on everyone. And then he slams on a half of the arena and, like, does the can you bring equilibrium kind of thing. But you don't die because there's like a railing, so it's fine. On Extreme, as I remember, he will splash on the opposite angle of the arena for a moment, and then he'll dash across that half of the room. And the thing is, you will die because he'll just shove you off the arena if he does that. Zab says he always does dashes. I'm pretty sure you need to use the converter right after he dashes on the long side through the converter. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I think we have plenty of people, Vivarian. It depends on, like, if we it depends on how many people here actually are willing to join. But I'll figure that out in a bit. Right now we're going through the tactics to make sure that there's not anyone going, well, I can't join because I don't know how to do this. Well, that does sound about right. He goes under the water. He splashes to indicate he's going to cleave a specific half of the room. You run over to the converter and, like, stand so you can reach the converter but not get knocked off. And you click it, like, as he dashes through. And shortly after, he'll splash on a side like normal, and then you have to make your way to the opposite end because he'll slam on that side and pull you over there. And, well, if you're not far enough over on the other side, you will die. And that's pretty much it. Given the release order, surely it would be Sophia doing the Leviathan ship tilt thing. True. With that said, I will be one of the healers. I don't know if Sip wants to be one of the healers. He might want to. But that's up to him. Which of course means, it seems like it does want to be healer, it means that we will need 5 DPS and 1 tank. Worst case, we will probably need... Oh, we have the army. Worst case, we will have to figure out what we do. Like, for instance, and I'm not saying this to target anyone in particular. I'll just say this, that if we reach a point where it turns out like that someone isn't like, we will try, and if we run into a wall for whatever reason, it could be a case of replacements. I also know that we started later, so there's a higher chance that someone will have to go in the middle. And as I've said previously, if you do have to go, then it might be beneficial to like bow out early. So like, all right. So that we don't have to like get a replacement. And don't worry about it, Emir. I know you were excited to join. It's totally fine. Well, we have a DPS or tank slot, I suppose. That is really awkward. I wish I could break. I wish it was 10 man. I wish we started with 10. I wish we started with 10. Which area is this? This is my house. We are in Louisois Chaos. Ward 29. Plot 36. It's synced. And no blue mages. Fair enough, Emir. Hopefully it's entertaining. Yeah, indeed, Yurine, it would be weird. I just, I genuinely mean it when I say, like, every time I plan these things, I'm like, who wants to come along? And I get, like, 10 people that wants to come, and I'm like, I wish I could bring all of them, but I can't. Yeah, the reason why it is no blue mages is because it kind of ruins the challenge in a way, because blue mages are so strong that if we're like, yeah, 3 normal jobs can do it, there's a real possibility 1 blue mage can do it. Because blue mage is that good. And sometimes they can cheese it in some way. So like, it's a little bit like when I made my video about what the biggest hit in Final Fantasy XIV can be, and I'm like, but blue mage does it better, so... like... It would kind of make it so that if blue mage was allowed, we'd already know how this would end. Like 1 or 2 blue mages, probably. Yeah, 6, you said? What? But yeah, I think what we might try is something like this. I don't know how much AoE healing there will be necessary to keep the group alive. 36. Because if the answer is not a lot, then the strategy of double Sage might actually be a good one. So I think we would try that first. And we might wipe a few times figuring out the fight. As I said, I've actually, by some miracle, not landed in Leviathan Extreme through Mental Roulette yet. But I think we will try. And it's a lot less crucial that everything is perfect as when we're more players. And then it'll get like more and more tight on perfection as we go. We might even see mechanics that haven't been seen in years or something. Right, so let me reiterate. The way we're going to go... Oh. It's probably fine. I was thinking about the magic damage, but that's the tail, right? I think the way we're going to go about it is, like, once Leviathan splits to head and tail, Angel will basically just provoke the tail, and... Then we will have to figure out from there. Hopefully you can hold aggro with that alone, so you don't have to run back and forth. Once the ads start coming, the rest of us will probably have to go crazy clearing those. And something that is going to be very important to keep in mind for me and Sip is that if we use an AoE heal of some sort, and it hits Angel, we get the debuff that we don't want. And the only way to get it reset is to stop healing Angel for a bit. Healing over time effects should only hit us once with the debuff. So like, for example, Physis is only going to hit once. It's also worth keeping in mind that Physis conveniently has a shorter range than Physis 2, so like if Angel is over there, we can probably safely use Physis to heal everyone else over here. Do we need any markers? Does anyone know if we need any markers? Either it says Leviathan is 11% of extremes in my mental roulette. I've had like... I think Ramu is closing in on 50% of mine, so... Only crayons. I guess we don't need any markers. If no one has any markers, if you only have crayons, then I guess we'll have to make do. Eat it. Zav says, for the order of spumes, or the gyre spumes, we usually start by the tail and we then work around. In what direction? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Well, I guess we'll figure it out. I should have ran more. He's a long boy. They see the Briny Mirror. Right, the gyre spumes are here as well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh boy. This start is about as I had expected it. I'm pretty sure this is the time. It was not. I'm an idiot. I don't know if that will actually recover. That was my bad. I've never seen him do it like that before. And now it should have been, right? Possibly. And we can't use it now because I wasted it. I am sorry. Is that the classic? Does he always do that? The problem is that you kind of have to click it before he does it, otherwise it's too late. Not always. Does anyone know the sign of him doing it? Do we have a designated button clicker? Ymir will click through the screen. Vote for Kai on button, dirty. I think that's I don't know if that's a good idea if it's true that healers get chased by an AoE. If Saf feels somewhat confident, then it's a good idea if Saf does it. Keep clicking, but it pauses the video. Ah! It doesn't work. What? Yeah, we should be killing the ads the moment they start spawning. And I suppose once the ads are dead, immediately switch to the gyre spumes. Azerial, yes, all defensive mitigation stacks multiplicatively. So, yeah, if you use your defensive, it just it just reduces the damage the tank is currently taking by 10%, you could say. That spawning second is the more important one. One ad is called Wave Tooth, the others are Wave Spine. That sounds about right. If you mark something to kill first, then just make sure everyone actually focuses that. Well, Tower Holy is supposed to be used when you need it. Often, like, if you need the damage reduction, then it can be before. If you don't need the damage reduction, but you need the healing, then it could be after. So it kind of depends on what you need. Hey Philippe, hope you're doing well. There's the wave tooth. Oh. I'm just running. Whee! Run right into the fear circles. I run some more. That is evil. That is evil. Time to get trolled! Good thing that these drums are kinda nice. Yeah, I don't know, Cyanide. My impression of Viper is that it looks both like Viper and Pictomancer took a lot of inspiration from Summoner with stacking buttons. But, yeah. It's a long conversation, I suppose. It's the reason why it took, like, nearly 5 hours. Yeah, so what went wrong there is that the Leviathan decided to mess us up a little bit. When will we be hitting the echo mark? You need to survive for 3 minutes. You need to survive for 3 minutes of active combat. Why didn't I press the button? Because Zarf is the designated button clicker. They reported a higher probability of actually knowing when to press it. They they didn't. They guessed wrong. But that's the problem with the probabilities. Sometimes you're wrong. I do feel like the healing from just double Cardia seems to work decently well for keeping Angel pretty healthy. Decently well. Exactly, Traverse. Even with a 99% chance, there would still be a chance that it wouldn't work. Alright, which one are we getting? Are we finally going to hear about Leviathan? Leviathan! I think so. Run! Zip, did you just absent-mindedly run into it? That's extremely funny. Just, oh yeah, that. Wave spumes. I don't think I've ever seen those. What do they do? Well, I'm dead. Friday the 3rd. What's happening? Wait, what? Wait, why is he invulnerable? Why long? How long is he invulnerable? Ah, yes. The long side. Does this count? It does not. Tank takes them and goes to the other side and pops invul to deal with them. Is that a good idea? Suppose that is a way. And we managed to get 5% echo, by the way. Supposedly they explode eventually. Does that mean that what you're supposed to do is have someone kite them? Oh, people use the inmost track. Do we have... is Angel able to do it? And if it gives a bleed, that might be a problem, but we would have to like just deal with that when it gets to that. Off tank takes him to a corner, as far as I remember. Okay, who had... Alright, I'll find an off tank. They have an aggro table. Does that mean that... Wait, that would also be a way to do it. Just have a DPS take them and find a good, nice spot in a corner to explode in. There's also the invuln option. We just need to agree on a strat. Just have to choose one. Who wants to be honorable off tank? Ah, you see, all you have to do is die. What? It's very honorable to die for the honor of the cult of the pink. Isn't that strange, Giraheen? It's almost like Shiva was really easy in retrospect. Strange. So if we don't have a lot of deaths on the way to that mechanic, then we'll have Swiftcast ready to bring up whoever dies, right? But like that's something we have to keep in mind. It did give small kind of crystals. Dub the off tank. You can assist the cult in different ways, I suppose. What do we do? Do we have a strategy? It sounds like Rust might have an easier time doing the AoE pull. It was yo. Hope you're doing well. I volunteer the Reaper. Wow. It's proximity damage, so when those come up, we basically have to have Rust grab them, and then everyone just runs in the opposite direction. Is that what we're doing? Just give the off tank a big shield. I'm not sure what we're doing. Is the strategy that Rust is bringing the mobs to Angel? So Angel can pick them up and then invuln it, or what's going on? The strategy is to bring it to the main tank first. Yeah, it seems like that will be the strategy, Amelia. In terms of strategy, we have no strategy. That is basically what I went in with. That's why I led with, I've also not beaten Leviathan Extreme Synced yet. And I'm going in here going, we can probably beat it with less than 8 people. We just have to beat him once, then we'll figure out how we beat him twice. And then we'll figure out how we beat him thrice. Delicious thrice. When you want a flammer, but you can't reach. Hey Shaq, hope you're doing well. Oh, that's an awkward spot for the circle of unfun over there. It's the circle of not fun. What did you miss? We wiped a few times. Long side? That is a really evil tell. You just have to know that if he does it on that side, then it's this way, and if he does it on the other side, he does something completely different. You just have to know. It's what we call mean mechanics. Yeah, indeed, at least it is consistent. That is a reasonable counterpoint. It could have been worse that it was just random chance. You figure it out. That would have been too mean. Oh, here they come. And Leviathan left. Oh boy, oh boy. This is an awkward time for this, Leviathan, you know that? It's very, very weird plan of yours. Wait a minute, you just survived. You just straight up just lived it. That's awkward. Leviathan? On the long side, which means push the button, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, hey Brontom, did you see it? They didn't add something after Communio, but they did add something. They added something at the start of the melee combo. Kind of, I guess. Kinda that, right? Like kind of that. Careful, there's a big blue circle in the middle of the room. Double kill. There you go. Wait, what? Oh, fair enough. Graham getting their first kill of the... Oh, mount drop. Their first kill of the boss ever. That means if you stay in, Graham, you can get a mount. Hey, look at the Maji. Hope you're doing well. Kinda looks like a Communio follow-up, but it does look like it can be used at the start. And yes, Red Mage got another step to their finisher. "15-second melee combo!" Yeah, Bahamut 2.0 looks awesome. The point to it looks cool. I'm just saying... As... Oh, wait. Now we're down 2 players. We're down 2 players. I know Raylia really wanted to come. Are they still here and still wanting to come? Because we lost 2 players. Yeah, as the local Stranger of Paradise is super underrated, I just want you all to know that the Techno Bahamut, as I've decided to call it, looks similar to Stranger of Paradise Bahamut. So enjoy that. Get them back, Cyanide. It's okay, Caetsu. The way that we usually do Extreme Countdown is that we try to stick with as much the same crew as we can. Because that way we don't have, like, when we're down to 5 players, we have someone that goes, I don't remember how any of these mechanics work. And then they have to learn it in a janky situation where we're undermanned. So it's like it's easier to progress when we stick to the same group. But if someone has to go or wants to leave, then obviously I can't force you to stay, So what in a situation like that, we take someone else. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to stay. But if you don't want to stay, it also helps. Like if you've been at it for like over an hour, and you're like, well, like, I kind of have like other stuff, so I have to leave. Then, you know, stepping out when we're like downsizing the group is the optimal timing. He means I'd love to join, but I feel like it wouldn't make sense. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe maybe it makes sense later. And I agree with that, Fat Man. Let me actually just take a minute to talk very briefly about the job action trailer. The things that I saw was of like things that were patterns. One, everyone gets a finisher. The ones that already have a finisher gets an additional finisher to their finisher. We have Super Star Diver that happens after Star Diver. We have Super Primal Rend that happens after Primal Rend. We have another Blade combo step. Basically, nearly everyone got a finisher. Buffs have to give an attack. Fight or Flight turns into Goring Blade now. No Mercy turns into Sonic Break now. Chain Stratagem turns into an attack. Presence of Mind gives you access to 3 uses of an attack. So on and so forth. And buffs, or rather buttons, that give you exactly the amount of resources you need to use like our burst. Like, for example, Manification, Barrel Stabilizer, Plentiful Harvest. Instead of giving you the resources, which could mean you overcap and waste resources, instead they just give you a rain check. Your next melee combo is free. Your next hypercharge is free. Your next enshroud is free. Not saying that those are bad things. I'm just noticing some patterns, and the particular one that really stands out to me is the everyone gets a finisher, because in Endwalker, a lot of jobs got finishers. And in Shadowbringers, I feel like some jobs kinda got finishers. So like, for example, Paladin got Confiteor in Shadowbringers, and then they get the Blades combo in Endwalker, and then they get an additional Blade hit in Dawntrail. So, I'm just saying, like, actually now, with Dawntrail, Paladin only needs to fit 2 fillers into their burst, instead of 3. And yes, Bard not needing songs, and... Oh, whoops, I almost did a goof here. Let's see... I almost grabbed some unsuspecting mentor. Not only that, but Pitch Perfect having an AoE component now means that the whole discussion of, oh, Mage's Bandit is better on AoE is much less of a problem. We've had finisher. How about second finisher and third finisher? And Red Mage is basically the perfect example of... Oh, is Angel disconnecting? Oh boy. Red Mage is the perfect example of this. In Stormblood, they were introduced with a finisher to their melee combo. Shadowbringers, they get 1 more step. Endwalker, they get 1 more step. Dawntrail, they get 1 more step. They were the OG of, at level 70, I get like a combo finisher. How long will it take for Red Mage to reach that point? It would require that the combo generates enough resources that you can do another melee combo when you're finished. Right now, Scorch and Resolution gives 4 of both mana types. Holy and the Flare gives 11. So, like, in total, like, just net, you get 27 mana from a melee combo, and it costs 100 combined, right? Yeah, also you get Jolt 3, that's true. Yeah, you get 27 mana from your melee combo that requires 100 combined. We'll just wait for Angel for a bit. And for that to work, like, for this to then make sense, like, so that you have an infinite melee combo, you would, of course, need to generate 100. There's many steps to that, but hey, maybe you can make it work. Like, the key here isn't you're generating 27, it's more like you only need 73 mana. Thank you, Hobson. Friday the 3rd. Friday the 3rd, Friday the 3rd. What sounds like a job for Wrath Games? I mean, it's a misheard lyrics for the Leviathan theme. That's correct, Traverse. Bards will no longer need to apply to use their songs on a target. That is a big quality of life, yes. People actually people specifically asked for that change. Like, they specifically wanted the change that you don't need a target to use your songs. Like, that is exactly the thing that people have asked for. Precisely. Kill the wave tooth guy. Oh, we did it! No fear circle on the floor. Hopefully that's not a level 90 trait. That would be weird, wouldn't it? You reach level 90 and now your songs no longer do damage? Oh, getting that red mage mana from somewhere. They might still, yeah, maybe they make it so that it's just AoE damage. Right, like that it just does some AoE in the area. That could be. Well, not the wheel. Your white mage instead gets 3 instant GCDs to use in Presence of Mind. You become the burst DPS healer, apparently. Where Wave Tooth? Wave Tooth? Where you at? What do you mean by that, Brontom? Brewmage usually doesn't get new stuff until like over halfway through an expansion. That's also part of the reason why I'm pretty sure that Beastmaster isn't getting anything at all. What about Fisher? Oh, it was a joke. Fair enough. We need to keep you alive until you're actually ready to take them. Oh no, this again. Nerd nerd. Oh dear. No, Milo. Dun 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 dun. Run dun dun. Ah! Wait, why are you not healing? Is that intentional? What? What happened? debuff make me heal less? That could be. I wonder if he'll let me cast this. Hey, anime freaks, hope you're doing well. Nope, apparently didn't make it or something. Oh! That explains. Zarv saw it, Ymir saw it. Angel was not healing because Leviathan was invulnerable. Would this be easier with a different job tank? Just out of curiosity. It might be good to go out and switch then. Like, we got 5% there, but if we keep going and we then discover we can't do it with a Dark Knight, then it'll really suck. I'm sure we can do it, but there's no reason to make it harder for us than it needs to be. Gunbreaker maybe for Aurora? Maybe. The wonder since Dark Knight 2 to mention that it's delivered. Well, Angel, here's the thing. You need to deliver an attack to benefit from anything it does. Like, if you use Fire 1 on an invulnerable enemy, it doesn't refresh your Astral Fire, I don't believe. But it's not always consistent, so I do understand the confusion. Exactly, it depends on the boss, because sometimes it's invulnerable, and sometimes it's just, well, I only take 0 damage. Hey Lexi, hope you're doing well. In that case, should we hop out and make some changes? Or should we try again? What do you think, Angel? It's you who's tanking. We could try again. And then we can revisit this problem when we beat it with 7. Or when we run out of time, if we run out of time. It would probably take you a long time, anime freaks, if you don't have like a group to play with ready to go. But hey, you could do it. Also, I just want to say the thing I was saying with, hey, why are you not healing, was Angel had Walking Dead up and was not healing from their own attacks. And I didn't realize that it didn't work because of invuln. Expecting the Kugani theme to pop up with these drums. Yeah, that sounds about right. Boom. 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 Ew. I am happy that the big brain strat of going, what if we just had 2 sages, seems to work, kind of. Oh boy. Careful, there's a blue dance floor. Evacuate the dance floor. Oh boy. I wanted to hit the spew. I wanted to hit the spew. Yo. Ah, right. Will you make it? Dun 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 dun. That was an unfortunate dance floor there. You know you can cancel the slide with Icarus? Oh, I didn't think about that. Thank you, Amir. I'll try that. Did you hear that, Zip? We can cancel the slide with Icarus. You can also cancel the slide with Surecast. But what if I like sliding? For some reason it never occurred to me that you can just prevent it. Obviously, you can do that. Wing woo. The sound of sages is in the air. Wing woo. It's the sound of sages. Bap. Oh, right, the more important guy. Oh, no. Time to evacuate the dance floor again. Ow. What? Where do you get those paralysis debuffs from? Where are they coming from? Hold the lever, Kronk! Hello, Flemmer, my old friend. Why are you getting paralysis at Leviathan? I am at paralysis. I'm at soup. Ow. That is what we call ow. And this is what we call falling to the death. And this is called falling to the death again. Hey, Rust! Glad you could join me. Oof, owie. Button time? I don't know if that counted. Good luck with DSR, Lexi. Oh, limit break. That's something we have. That's true. We still have those. Nice. Another mount. 2 mount. It feels like... Hey, Milo's hopping out. Fair enough. It feels like so far, like we're not hurting for time. Like we haven't even we haven't gone so far that we've been like, is there a hard have we met the hard enrage? Nope. I feel like Cracked mode that most people that go that do the classic wondrous tales of, ooh, I have Leviathan Extreme. That's easy, probably. Unsynced just goes in, and then the boss just dips, and then you're like, and then it just yoinks you off the arena. I feel like that's almost like something everyone has had to deal with at least once. And same, Philippe, as long as we don't have DPS, damage problems, then I think we're kinda as long as we can kill everything in time, we're good. And that's the thing. And eventually we may be in the situation of going, oh, I have a feeling that we need 2 healers for this. Genuinely, I think we need 2 healers for this to just, keep the tank alive. So, that one isn't even, up for debate. But it might not actually be possible to kill the ads without 1 DPS. Exactly, the problem comes when you can't kill the spumes fast enough. Won't Briny Mirror make it impossible to keep tank up? Yeah, exactly. The way we're avoiding this problem so far, just kicking it down the road, is that Cardia doesn't actually activate the debuff. So we're just, roundabout healing. In these fights, I don't think Sip and I have gone over 4 stacks. Simply because we're not really healing Angel. It's just we're attacking and it happens to heal them. It was only there at the end when I was like, I have to heal Angel and the boss is invulnerable. The issue with Cardia is you have to attack. There's the possibility that we might deem that Scholar would be beneficial simply because it can continue heal. Continue healing without a target. Hey Ardell, hope you're doing well. And also hey Solization, hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, fight creators didn't predict Sage. Apparently, putting Regen on the tank gives you 1 stack. Just 1. The key here, Angel, is that it apparently like the application of regen gives 1 stack, but all the healing from regen will not. So that's pretty good. But the reason why you'd need 2 healers is because it's sort of like similar to a tank switch, where you just healer switch if you really have to heal that much. Do we have anything that we need to change? I'm pretty sure we have the same strat-ish, right? I guess. But it would not surprise me if we need it, like if party comp changed a bit. Yeah, we don't have a machinist this time. It wouldn't surprise me if we need 4 or even 5 players because of the way the gyre spumes work. I wonder if a tank could keep themselves up with potions? I don't think so. You know, Aerodel, if you haven't seen anything yet, then I'm sure you have something to look forward to. Sip, remember Cardia. If you can check a little bit, if you can just jump to the Bard part, Aerodel, I think you'll be happy. There's both the job action trailer part and the talk, where they talk about the things they've changed about Bard. I think you would like it. Oh boy. It's not the worst place for it to be, I suppose. Yeah, that's not happening. Nope. And yeah, also true. It seems like every single job community on the balance has basically gone in full negative mode. Anything that could be a good thing is interpreted as a bad thing. Shouldn't Gunbreaker have better self-heal at this level? Probably. But, I mean... Angel wanted to be a Dark Knight. And so far, we've been okay enough. Pull the lever, Kronk! Hey, Gatch, hope you're doing... I hope you get better soon, then. I mean, I personally, and I'm not just like making this up or like being like excessively positive or something like that, or at least I'm not trying to, but genuinely, I think that everyone got something cool with the, like in the job action trailer and everything that they shared. I genuinely think that most jobs got something good. But I also have the advantage of just, like, my perspective is, like, I'm not so attached to any job in the game that it would be a problem if the one that I like the most got changed significantly. Like, if they changed, like, Sage or Warrior in a way I don't like, or, like, changed Black Mage or Summoner, whatever, in a way I don't like, I'll just play a different job. I don't care. I'll just play a different job. So it's very easy for me to go, everyone has something awesome. Because if it turns out that it isn't as awesome as it looks, it doesn't matter to me. Ah! Wait, huh? What? Somehow I made it. I'm alive! Oh. I'm no longer alive because I didn't use Icarus fast enough. I survived a tick of drowning. Oh boy. Ow. We're almost there. Nice! Was that second try? No mount. No more mount. That was the saddest death on my end. Surviving the pushback from the dash at me, which I thought was unsurvivable. Only to tilt off the arena instead. Salve hops out. Fair enough. Tidal Wave the Enrage. I believe the hard Enrage is the third time Leviathan, like, leaves the arena and does the thing with, like, the swirly on the entire arena. Yeah, so, like, the third one. Minas T says, what Summoner God confirmed, I'll stick to Black Mage. Thank you very much. Fair enough. I mean, I will say, what Summoner got, like, based on the meltdown that some of the some parts of the community is having over the actual additions to their jobs coming in Dawntrail, I feel like some jobs, like some community, like job communities are like, oh man, you're lucky, Summoner. You basically got no changes. Like, as far as I understand, and I might be misinterpreting this, but Black Mages looked at Umbral Ice generates MP from casting spells instead of every 3 seconds on a random tick that you need to track with a third-party tool to be sure. And when you've cast 6 Fire Force or 2 Flares, you get to shoot like a super mega explodey fireball that looks awesome. They reacted to that with, transpose lines are dying, the sky is falling. And I'm sitting there like, you don't even know if they're if transpose lines are gone. We don't even know. We don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure transpose lines came primarily about as a result of paradox and a reduced transpose cooldown. You've had transpose lines like since Endwalker. The wave tooth after the tsunami is the last ad to worry about. Need to focus on Leviathan at that point. Thank you. I don't, like, based on what I heard, Umir, it sounds like all of the lounges, like all the job lounges on the balance are having meltdowns, but it might be exaggerating. But there are certainly people that are, like, mad regardless of what they got. Because, like, I'm just saying, from what we know, Summoner got better Elder Primal, so like an upgrade to Bahamut and Phoenix in a way, you could say. An upgrade to Festa, from what I could tell, and an attack that you can use after Searing Light. And Swiftcast has a 40-second cooldown now. And Addle lasts 15 seconds now. That's kinda it. We don't know anything else, but that's it. So a lot of people that were expecting Summoner to become a lot more complicated in Dawntrail are mad. But basically what you got is bigger numbers and one new button. You no longer, like, basically that extra button after Searing Light means that you have to cast Ruin 3 once every 2 minutes instead of once every minute. And exactly, Philippe, I saw the things that Black Mage got and was like, maybe I should main Black Mage after all. Like, that's how I got it. Like, that's how I felt. And I hadn't planned to main Black Mage. But then I saw what they got and I was like, maybe. Meanwhile, actual Black Mage mains are like, no, this is bad somehow. The upgrade to Harp after teleport, yeah. That's really, like, actually, look at the magic. I'm mildly concerned about that, because I think it's already a problem to try and teach people to not use something like Hell's Egress into instant Harp when they're new to Reaper, because it feels like a proc to be used. But if they make it so that it feels like a damage gain, it might be a problem. Oh yeah, we Kronk has left. Who will pull the lever now? We have Gunbreaker. People who get their favorite class changed to fit other people's preferences are justified to be angry. I agree. Which is also why the entire time, whenever we've talked about like major changes to jobs, like the Dragoon rework and Astrologian rework, I've said I don't really care what they get. I can come with some suggestions that I think might be good, but ultimately it's important that whatever's changed is something that the actual mains would want. Right, so just reiterating, the sign that we need to pull the lever is when Leviathan does the line AoE across the longer side of the arena. He has only done the mix-up like once, so who knows, maybe it'll be fine. And I kind of agree with that, Yureen. I feel like Pictobands looks a lot crazier now that we've seen what they're having. I think both of them looks really cool. They also look like they both have a lot going on, but that's a different story entirely. Here come the Wave Tooth. It's the Toothy Boy. So close. Wait, did he not put down the dance floor? How will we evacuate the dance floor then? What are those? In both cases with the new jobs, I also got the impression that it's like we don't really know what we're having. I ran into that to try and escape the dash, and then it didn't happen. He did the mix-up, by the way. It's almost like he heard me go. Oh wait, he did the mix-up because he's taking damage so slowly that he hasn't reached the point yet. Like it just occurred to me he just spawned the Gyospumes now. Huh. Well, there you go. Ow. Ow. Lever. That's a lot of damage. That was an insane... Oops. That was maybe not the most considerate time for me to res you, in retrospect. Oops. Yeah, I can also say, if I see a lot of people mention this in the chat, they couldn't follow a lot of the job icons. I think that's normal. Like, there's a reason why in my job guides I put, like, the tooltip for whatever I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. Because I know what it is. I'm the one talking about it. So I'm sure it'll be a lot easier to follow the instant that we have some job icon, like the instant that we have some like icon for the actions. Rust is just not having a good time right now. Leviathan doesn't like you, Rust. Yeah, the Pixelmancer gauge was easier to follow, I felt. Easier. Like, not easy, but easier. Oh my goodness. My goodness. There's a straggler orb. One orby boy. It is over there. Ironically, here, Leviathan is not invulnerable because we haven't hurt him enough to force him to do that. Like, he hasn't needed to use the stopgap. Oh, that didn't hurt that much. Wave tooth guy. Wave tooth guy. Kill the wave tooth guy. Kill the wave tooth guy. Quickly. We need to kill him before he fears us, because then we die. And also be careful with the swirly near the boss. As you stand in it, you will get feared and die. Ah! With 0.3% HP on the boss. Very rude of the Leviathan to have positionals when it's impossible to hit rear. You can hit the... Well, you can hit the rear on this version. Next challenge project is every call-out needs to be sung. Are you sure you want that? Yeah, Lukadamaji. The tail has its targeting reticle flipped backwards because it's the rear of the boss. It makes sense when you think about it. Hey Leah, hope you're doing well. And yes, this is how we're dealing with the healing debuff. 2 sages. I'm shocked that it worked. That's all I'm saying. I'm shocked that it works. Thank you. Is it the barriers that helps keep the attack alive? Let me explain for anyone that came into the stream like in the middle of it. No stun, by the way. Why don't it used to be melee? The way that it works is that the tail puts a debuff on whoever's tanking it, and that debuff gives... If you heal the person with the debuff, then you get a debuff that reduces the healing you do and reduces your range. And that takes a minute to drop off, and if you get 16 stacks, it just completely stops you from acting. But it only counts every time you directly do like a supportive action to the tank. Which means if you put regen on the tank, you get 1 stack and the regen takes for 6 times. You put cardio on the tank before the fight starts, you haven't like directly healed the tank, but all the healing that you do isn't counting. Zippy says Karakoli doesn't... Zip says Karakoli doesn't give the debuff. That is true, Karakoli doesn't heal, so it has to be a supportive healing action. That, I suppose, is relevant. Yeah, Soteria is also safe. I've been using Soteria. Because that puts a buff on you. And not the tank. Yeah, so Soteria's weird. Soteria's weird, and it's a rarely amazing button, but here it's amazing. Okay, we're just hopping out. I don't think I can do this. Can? Because it occurred to us we kinda would like to have a stun on the 1 DPS that we have. And the reason why we are doing that immediately is because if there's a reasonable chance that we might like be running into an enrage wall now, which means that there's a reasonable chance that we will actually need to accumulate echo, and if that's true, then it would suck if we find out halfway through that we can't do it without a stun. Yeah, now we've kind of reached the point where the person who clicks the button is the person who's in range. Hey, Sokep. Hope you're doing well. To leave in an hour? I mean, we have a 1 hour session here, so like if you have to leave then, that's fine. Then we'll have to like if we don't beat it by then we don't beat it by then. It is quite funny that this problem of Leviathan becoming invulnerable went away, like, all on its own. Because we can't actually kill him, like, hurt him fast enough to trigger the invulnerability in the first place. There he is, the boy. Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The stun man. One hit away. Smack it. Smack him. Smack him. Thank you. Here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Welcome to getting smacked. Oh, no. Ah! Another one. Oh, nice. Oh, not nice. Ah! Oh, good thing the railing's still here. Nailed it, everyone. I got this. Pretty sure you can put dots on both ends. I can. Probably. It hurts a little bit. Ow. Oh man. Oh man, this is going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot, I think, based on how this works. Hey, wait a minute, Zip, you didn't receive a bad boy stack from using Fizzes and hitting Angel, did you? Huh. Well, that's convenient. I'll try to keep that in mind. I didn't even notice before. A bad boy stack for you. Boop. Well, that changes some things. So that means I can do this safely. Why does that work? That's not supposed to work, is it? I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to work. Yeah, a Realm Reborn jank. And I've been intentionally running away to use fizzes every time. Only to find out that, no, that one works. That's totally fine. You go nuts. Oh, whew. True developer talk. That's not supposed to work. Yeah. Well, if we think we know how the game works, and then we don't. Ah, yes. How about some more gyrospumes? Should probably dot them up. Dot them up. No thanks. In the middle. To the side. Uh-oh. Oh no. That is what we call a wipe, I'm pretty sure. Ow. I stand alone. Hey, wait a minute. I don't get stacks when I heal myself? Hmm. Uh-oh. Yeah, that is a word, Boomet. Is that it? I don't think that was hard in Rage. We didn't have enough energy on the elemental conversion because we didn't kill the spumes fast enough. The spumes. We'll try a bit more. We did get Echo though, so that's something. Heal LB time. Man, if only we had Limit Break 3, right? Wah, wah. Maybe it's because Physis doesn't apply any direct healing. According to the information we know, Regen gives you a stack. And Regen doesn't actually do any upfront healing. So if Physis works the way that we just observed, then Regen should work the same way. Unless it's because, well, Physis is not a spell, so it's different. It's white mage oppression, yeah, that's it. I don't think we're making this. I don't think we will kill the wave tooth in time. Or will we? Sometimes it helps when it wastes time casting some random stuff. That was what we call very lucky. It says healing spell or action, Zaf. I agree, Zaf. That's why I'm completely dumbfounded by it working this way. That is true, Ymir. If we check specifically if we try and rely on something like Console Games Wiki, don't click it. You're bad. I think we had two people reaching for the lever. It's only when he starts with this that you pull the lever. Yeah, that could be cool. Maybe the reason is that Physis just isn't... It doesn't have the same, like, marker that other things do. Maybe Whispering Dawn doesn't trigger it either, and then to make it fair, Sage's Physis doesn't either. Yeah, so just to reiterate, because of our kind of pathetic damage, because we're 4, Leviathan will always do the fake out first, where he will dash 3 times, and then the time after that, we need to be on the ball and pull the lever. I didn't even know that he had the fake out on hard until today. Anyway, 10% echo. Yeah, it is, that is something we've noticed, is that at least, like, guide information for, like, our Realm Reborn extremes, certainly. There are some things where it gets a little weird on that, on Console Games Wiki. Which isn't too surprising if you go back, like, through the Wayback Machine and look at some of, like, the job pages from our Realm Reborn days. There are some times where it feels like they just made something up. Like they just went, it's probably something like this. So it's not too surprising that it isn't perfectly consistent. But often, the reason why it is inconsistent is simply because it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's a case of, who cares? We do, specifically because it matters to our run. Exactly, that's MMO wikis for you. It's also because there's so much data in those kinds of games that it's not surprising that, you know, you would accumulate a lot of stuff that is just too hard to maintain. And that too, early on, they're all bad. Like, the particularly funny ones is that if you go back, you'll see places where they just claim that a specific job has access to a specific cross-class action that they absolutely never had. Like, how did they come up with that being, like, on the list of cross-class actions? Like, why did they choose that one? This is a fake out. Do not touch the elemental converter. And now we want to get ready. I think that was early. That wasn't too soon. You know, that would be pretty funny, Giraheen. The weird ones that made me go like, what? Was, I think it was that it said that Summoner could get Blizzard 2. Which apparently they couldn't, I believe. And when I saw that, and initially did not yet know that they were unreliable, I just thought, why would you choose that? I'm sure you can't actually receive the Umbral Ice buff because you're not a black mage. So why would you want this? You would never want this. And yes, Blizzard 2 mega sucked. It was centered on yourself. It did like 50 potency per target, I think. And I think it might slow near you, but like it really sucked. Exactly, it was kinda like Frost Nova, but not really. Freeze used to suck more. Freeze used to be ground targeted and did like 20 potency, but it snared the enemy, so it was like an AoE snare. Yeah, like Tribind, which also sucked back then. Here come the wave spumes. Ah! Oh, through the middle. No. I tried. It didn't let me. Like, I genuinely did the rescue to try and drag you back. It didn't let me. Oh. The sadness. Oh. Invuln happened. Uh-oh. Good. What? Oh no. I spent my Swift cast trying to arrest people. I don't think I can do this. No, I can't. Seven seconds, and then I can. There's the wave tooth. We need to kill that. Dreadwash means wipe, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. That's insanely lucky. Ah! Maybe? Not really. Nah. Ah. What is a mesa, Leah? We're still progressing. That's what really matters here. I think we can do it. You also have 15% echo. Yeah, usually when people talk about a fourth MMO class, like category, beyond healer, tank, and DPS, a lot of the time they're thinking pure support. And pure support is like, yeah, exactly, the crowd controller or a buffer or something. And it's really hard to make that unique and interesting, I think. And also impactful, more importantly. But I suppose World of Warcraft is toying with that idea again, with that support specialization for the Evoker. It's essentially a worse tank. Yeah, exactly, kind of. Like, so basically just, it's like a tank, but just with all the crowd control and stuff. But I suppose what's really happened, the reason why it is like this, is because the solution to not having, like, a dedicated, like, support man on the team is you just spread the job between like, the other roles. That kinda works, right? That kinda works. Here it comes. Blap. At least there's no dance floor. Nice one, Cat Damon. Very good. Now the question is, can we actually, is the rest of the dungeon beatable? Can't have a support in the game where even the healer spends most of their time doing DPS. That is an interesting point. That is like, if they made like a mesa style job in Final Fantasy XIV, it would be DPSing most of the time, because that's how Final Fantasy XIV works. I feel like we didn't have enough. Apparently we did. You see the new job actions? Yeah, I saw basically the whole live letter today. And we talked about it on the Discord server. More DPS. And that is also a good point here. The strategizer is technically a job in a raid team. They're not playing the game. It used to be something similar in WoW, I think, Zaf. That because you needed, you know, to regen MP to be able to afford your heals, you would not be casting very many attack spells unless you, like, genuinely had to. And it looked like you sped up as you progressed towards the edge. What happened there? Uh-oh. Double rest. You know, you mean shoving a whole shark in your mouth? Is that RuneScape talking? We're talking about a red mage? We're talking about when both healers use Swift Cast. So basically the exact opposite, exactly. Pull the lever, someone! Now! No, wait. Yes? Yes. I got uncertain there for a second, sorry. I believe the wave tooth is here. It is already here. Kill him! Destroy him! Quickly! Give a good old stun if you can. A good old smack across the leg or something. I believe we should ignore any ads or anything that spawns now and just, like, rush the boss. Oh. That's concerning. Nice! Whew. Well... that was with 4. Now... yeah, Eagle says 3 is gonna be spicy. Yeah, yeah. I feel like... the way we will have to do this is like... I don't know if that's realistically consistently possible, but it's almost like we would need the wave tooth over the tank so that Angel can stun it. I don't know how else we do it. The rest of the fight, like, I don't know. We maybe 25% Echo can do it. Does repose work on it? I'm guessing no, but there's something that is really, really important to keep in mind. We would need to do that. Like, it uses, like, the the dance floor thing, it might start using that after like 75% or something like that. I think it's stun on Dreadwash, but I seem to have heard that wasn't it if you'd stun it during Dreadwash, it's going to cast it anyway somehow, or something weird like that. It's worth trying, but yeah. Would Scholar be an option now because EOS has less targets to ADHD? Yeah, probably. I guess it depends. Because I don't know if it's actually better. There's also the possibility that does Whispering Dawn activate Briny Mirror? You can make it delay things with stun. Because you'd have to stun it before it starts casting something. But if you do that, you'll like gain those seconds. I don't think that Scholar necessarily would be better, because the thing is, I don't know. Just single heals and Saga triggers the debuff. It might be better. I mean, we could try. What do you think, Sip? I don't even know if Sip is still listening in. Working with Sage? That is true. We're mainly looking at, could it be better? The main benefit is that EOS would keep healing while we have nothing to attack. But it feels like the thing that's killing us is not that. Like, because we're 3 players, it feels like Leviathan does not have the damage, like the overwhelming power to actually beat us fair and square. Like, he kills us with very specific things in bursts. And because of that, as Sav says, it's more about damage than healing. And Sage has Phlegma 1 at this level, which is a pretty big deal. Their doses is 180 potency. The advantage that Scholar has is that Bio 2 is 400 potency, where Eucratian doses is 350, I believe. So every dot application, Scholar wins 50, but every time Sage casts doses, they win 30. And then there's of course also Scholar auto attacks, which becomes complicated. But I'm pretty sure Phlegma wins. Like, Sage has the better burst at level 50, I think. And the fact that we get Adderskull every 20 seconds also means that we can more easily deal with, like, the regular damage intake. Maybe you'll just stick with this. But it is a good idea. Can't it be single healed and swap in a summoner? I mean, if we were to swap in a DPS, it would be one with a stun. And summoner does not have a stun. I don't know if it can be single healed. Like, we're actually quite severely dependent on 2 Cardias to keep Angel topped up. And the moment that doesn't work anymore, that means that the one healer has to manually heal the tank. Exactly. The reason why we're using sages is specifically because every time you directly cast a healing spell on the tank, you get a stack of a debuff that makes you heal a bit less and reduces your range for some reason. And when you reach 16 stacks, you just stop being able to act. As far as I know, you know, like Chaos Ramu style. You're just stuck there. And that's also true. We're theorizing it might be possible. Angel says apparently you can shield through Dreadwash. Huh. I mean, it's worth a shot. I don't know if we can produce big enough shields on our whim for that. Should we try? Should we give it a go? The skeleton crew battle. I would expect us to see the Hardened Rage this time. Like, at some point. We don't even have Limit Break, just occurred to me. We wouldn't even be able to use it if we had, like, even if we had a DPS, we wouldn't be able to use it. Seed of Sacrifice. Oh, if it went really crazy, then that sounds like a good idea. Ugh. Fake out. I'm pretty sure it's the fake out. Even though it actually did dash on the long side, so there's actually not a consistent, predictable pattern after all. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? There's the boy! You probably want to stun it now. Wait, did you stun it? What happened? What did you do? What happened? Did you stun it? Or was it barriers? Sip's shielded. Oh, that is really useful. We should have known that earlier. That's amazing. Oh, there's another fake out apparently. Another one. I was so caught up on the fact that I wasted time so I couldn't shield us that I didn't even realize Sip was already on it. Ugh. The gyre spume from Narnia. Ba 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 ba. It's just a damage thing. With nearly no shield, it just hurts ridiculously hard. Like and yes, I was fishing for a crit. And by the way, Sip, are you intentionally not using your dot? Is it just other stuff taking your attention? Maybe it's my dot making you think that it's already up. Middle. And side. We're halfway. Is it better to go this way round? Here comes the wave spume time. Oh my goodness. Running through the middle while the boss is coming. And here comes the other side. Nerd. Panic Icarus. Maybe I'll finally learn to use Icarus more. Are they... Panic Icarus. Yep. Let's hope that Leviathan is very, very nice to us and gives us a few seconds to recover some elemental conversion. Oh boy. Those are some lucky shields, but given how much HP we had... Oh, Wave Tooth guy. He's here. He's come. He wants to play ball. I'll take it. Hopefully that helps. Nope, I think I'm dead. Rescue me! Thank you, Rust. And have a nice evening. We're still progressing. That's good. Did we get... I think we got Echo. 5%. Yeah, it seems like, indeed, we can cheese the fear, but we really need a proper shield to do that, it seems. And shields can also let us bypass the tsunamis somewhat, even with very little elemental conversion. But yeah, we kind of need to, like, get it rolling, because, like, if we actually need Echo, then we have to get some attempts in, because we have 47 minutes. Yeah, I was trying to shield up everyone, and I saw that Sip had like one stack that had almost ticked out, and I had 3 stacks that were a little longer. So like, if I took the bullet, then Sip would go down to 0, which I, you know, thought maybe that's a good idea. And then I died. Fake out. Blip. The big old body slam. He is the boy. He hath come. How much damage does it do? Like, how much damage did it do to you? Because it seems to matter. Like, before, I had basically no shield, so that's why I got feared anyway. But here, I think we all had a shield of, like, different sizes. Another fake out. Hey Ryan, hope you're doing well. Yeah, apparently, Cole, it turns out that if you shield it, you don't get feared. It's really weird. But the question is how much damage it does. It does. Hope you're doing well. Not a big fan of the timing of that mechanic. You want to fish for Echo? I think it's pretty significant for us to just get attempts in and actually trying to progress. So I think and it's also more interesting if we actually try instead of just like grinding Echo. My point earlier is just that if we stand and talk about it when we already kind of know what we need to know, then we should go for it. We don't have time to stand around. And a large object with rotating blades about that mechanic. Nope. I'm indeed not a fan. Leviathan! Hey guys, do you know what boss we're fighting? I'm not entirely sure. What do you think his name is? Thank you, Emir. Titan. This is probably Titan. That guy that has that song where it goes ba-da-dum da-da Titan. That's probably Leviathan. That must be actually Leviathan, right? Ramu. Kugane Extreme. And that's phase 1. Then we travel through time and space. And somehow land in whatever this is. Here come the water blobs. And then the boss goes by. King Margle Mark. Let's hope that was enough. Oh man. That's what we call a big ow. The big oof. Oh look, Wave Tooth is here. The boy is here. She's successful. Wait, I'm pretty did I not cast a shield on Angel as well? I know Zip did, but why did I not get a bubble? Or a debuff stack? Did I not do it? Excellent question, Emir. The filter works in mysterious ways. I guess. And by filter, I mean the YouTube filter. What do we have next? More gyrospumes? More spumy boys? I really love how the game is like, oh look, your elemental conversion is fully maxed out. Isn't that awesome? And you never get to use it at full. Like, ever. Like, Leviathan is onto our tricks from the very beginning. Should we be killing those, or should we just be holding on and attacking boss? Zaf says ads and then enrage, so This isn't a very large DPS loss for being SIP, so maybe this kind of works. Well then. That was the hard enrage. Is that 11%? Yeah, we just keep going. If you had 10,000 more HP, let's find that. We can probably get that. Either it says 9%. Yeah, we might be able to do it. Keep trying. There might be a few spots where it makes sense to use like a tincture or something. Due to the length of the fight, we might have 2 tinctures. The key when I say there might be times is mainly because at certain spots in the fight, you know, Leviathan, like if you push him too hard, he'll just be like, nope, and then just leave. Or become invulnerable at worst. Like, I don't think we're reaching that. But I think this is actually one of those times. Maxing out damage on the ads. Like, I'm not sure if this was the time. But it's slightly more damage at a point where we actually get to attack Leviathan. And I kind of got all of my GCDs to be damage of some sort. Sip is fast on the barrier trigger. I didn't even see him cast it. Of course you didn't, it's instant. Well, I didn't see him use Youth Gracia. It's usually a sign. But aside from that, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Yurhin. It almost feels like almost like soldiers or something. Just, you know, following orders. Like, it kind of feels like if you're in an alliance raid or something, and you just see like 2 or 3 like of the same job, and they're doing the exact same rotation. It kind of feels like that too. Marching band, but it's a Final Fantasy 14 fight. Is that the drums? Oh man. This percentage is looking pretty good, I feel like. Based on nothing in particular. I do think that it is really funny that this is rather consistent with these extreme countdowns. That early on, like with a full team, we do things in a super specific way because like that's how you're supposed to do it and things like that. And then as we progress down to lower numbers and it's like we can't, we start to discover that, oh, you didn't actually have to. Like for example, the Dreadwash. Oh, you can just shield that. You can just shield it. I don't know if this is the time, but I decided to use it. I paid for these tinctures, so I will use them. Ooh. The dab lich. Here come the water blobs. Oh boy, the water blobs. They go bloop. And the boss goes blob. Didn't need to heal directly, I could have just used Soteria. Oh well. My guess, Sav, is that maybe you were supposed to, like, kite them around the room for a ridiculous amount of time or something. That's my best guess. And now we're back down to, I'm pretty sure, just kill the boss. And there's 30% left. That's also true, Sav. With the amount of damage they do, you could probably do that. Like, just have a DPS deal with one each. That could probably work. We should basically just, if we can, like, the ads that spawn need to be picked up, but there's no point cleaving them. We should just go for Leviathan. Also dots. Is there not supposed to be an ad wave? There it is. Okay, ignore the ad zip, just kill the boss. Try to just pick them up, Angel, and just kill the boss. Yes! Yes! Was that 15% echo? Pretty sure that was 15%. 10%. Wasn't it 10? Is it only 10? 10%. Wow. 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 That was, I don't know how close we were. Is it too manable? No. No, I don't believe so. How long was that pull? To 25% echo, people. Yeah. If we were that close to the Harden Rage with 10% and 3 players, Angel says it took 11 minutes. How long is the Hardened Rage? Like, the assumption, it was just a few seconds away, that sounds about right. If we did 15% more damage... Well... If we did 15% more damage... It says, let's see, 35.22 to 24.57. So, 10.5 minutes. 10.5 minutes or so. If the Hardened Rage is like 11 minutes flat, then if we had 15% more echo, well... then we'd be doing about 13 to 14% more damage. Which would mean, like, if we... like, in broad strokes, with 3 players, that would have taken 9 minutes and, like, 20 seconds or so. Like, a little bit less than that. I mean, reasonably broad strokes. If we remove a player and we assume that, like, that player did a third of the damage, I'd imagine that a healer would probably be doing, you know, significantly less than, like, slightly less than a third of the damage. Because we can't remove a tank, we need at least one tank. Then... then, like, even if we just said that the healer did 20% of the damage, it would still be... there's no chance. Like, it's too long. It takes too long. It's weird. It's weird how it's always 3 players, and on 3 players it comes completely down to the wire and can just barely make it. Like, it's so perfectly close that you'd think that they made it like that intentionally somehow. And obviously they didn't, right? But yeah, 3 players again. 3 players again. But it is really funny that when we were 8 players, and even when we were 4 players, really, we were at a point where it's like, no, we need to stun the ad because it can fear us and stuff. Only for us to discover that, I mean, you can have the tank do the stun, and you can just shield the fear if it comes out. Like, just compare, like, just the fact, didn't we have like 3 wipes with 8 players? Normally off tank stuns it. Yeah, exactly. But that is actually precisely the kind of reason that that we usually start with a jank setup, like 1 tank too short, or 1 healer too short, and things like that. Is exactly because if we had started with 2 tanks and 2 healers in the group, then once we went down to 3 players, we would have had to figure out how we do it with 1 tank or 1 healer, which would be a lot worse. Hey Pancake, hope you're doing well. Can you make a DPS tank? They will not be able to withstand the damage. The problem we're in now is that, well, fortunately, it is abundantly clear that we wouldn't have the damage with a tank and a healer. But if we take that and ignore that for a moment, then if we lost a healer, then Cardia would no longer be sufficient to keep the tank alive. Which, for the most part, is what we've been depending on. Like, genuinely, we started this with, what if we have 2 sages use Cardia on the tank? Maybe it would work. And then we discovered that Physis also works without gaining stacks of the debuff. And for those that don't know, the way that Leviathan Extreme works is that whoever's tanking the tail gets a debuff that punishes anyone else who tries to heal the tank directly. And for some reason, applying Physis to the tank doesn't count. I don't know if Whispering Dawn counts. I would guess no. Like, I'm guessing that's the point. Maybe that's the reason why Physis works, is because Whispering Dawn doesn't cause problems, because obviously then Leviathan would have to target Eos. And they can't. Like, Leviathan can't target Eos. So maybe that's the logic? But that does mean that the main way we healed Angel throughout all of this, and Angel being Lunao here, has been from Cardia. Like, we just 2 sages put Cardia on Angel, and when they need healing, most of the time we just click Soteria to boost the healing or use Physis. And only heal directly if a barrier is needed. Because it's simply too dangerous otherwise. Because the debuff that you get punished with, if you heal the tank with that debuff, makes you heal for less. I don't know how much less. And it reduces your range. And when you reach 16 stacks, you lose control of your character or something. You become unable to act, it said. Which means that when you reach 15, you basically just have to stop. Although the range problem and presumably the small amounts of healing you would be doing means that it doesn't help very much. Like, right? I'm assuming Aspected Helios doesn't work. Upfront healing does not work. Or rather, it would give you stacks. And Aspected Helios has an upfront heal. And it also does heal over time, which means that the healing over time component would be fine, but the upfront healing would absolutely give you the stack. The reason why it's really weird with Physis is specifically because Regen gives you a stack, and Regen does not do upfront healing. Normally you'd switch the healer taking care of the tail tank at around 5 to 6 stacks. It's hard to say, Disturb. Basically, as far as we know, the act of applying a potentially healing supporting effect is what punishes you. Would Scholar Galvanize Spread work for shielding then? We don't have deployment tactics at level 50. But, like, for experimental purposes, that is an interesting question, but we wouldn't have deployment tactics. But yeah, the weird thing is, Regen punishes you, but it does not have an upfront healing effect. Physis does not have an upfront healing effect, just like Regen, but it does not give you a stack for some reason. Did you test if Regen gives a stack? We did not test. We assumed that other people that have done it, when they said, yes, Regen gives a stack, that it was true. Angel says that a post they found, it says that the fairy heals, which includes Whispering Dawn, ignores the Briny Mirror effect. So that would explain that. Maybe it's because Physis is an ability and Regen is a spell? That would have worked. But Ryuholi gives stacks. And then the argument is then, of course, but that does upfront healing. So does that mean that spells, supportive, potentially healing spells, and abilities with upfront healing are the ones that count? That's weirdly specific. I have a feeling that the reason why Physis is ignored is because Physis is Whispering Dawn. Like, they specifically made it so that, no, that it's the same as Whispering Dawn. Like, basically the Leviathan, like, winds up to give you the punishment, and then, like, you just show them, like, the contract where it says you have to treat these actions as if it was the Scholar action. And it just says, like, Physis, Whispering Dawn, with, like, an equation symbol between, like... And the Leviathan is like, yeah, okay then. Like, Leviathan, I guess. And just doesn't do it. I couldn't possibly explain why. It seems like there's a bunch of jank with that fight. The simple fact that you can block the fear with a barrier is hilarious. Alright, Emir, have a good evening. Yeah, we did not actually test if Regen worked, but I think I got the impression that the people saying yes, Regen gives stacks, like, came in from, and I know because I tried it. Physis was something where we went in with the assumption that, well, the debuff says healing spells and actions. And assume that Physis would be on that list. And we didn't discover that it didn't work like that until we were down to like 4 players, and the Zip was like, yeah, I hit Angel with Physis by accident, and I didn't get a stack. Maybe it's just a simple list of skills and they forgot to add Physis. That could also be. That could be. Like, legitimately, that is a possibility. That is possible. Like, speaking of jank in A Realm Reborn, right? I feel like... I feel like in A Realm Reborn, there's a lot of just random stuff. Like... This is a little bit of an anecdote, to say the least. When Blue Mages got upgraded to be able to reach level 70, so Stormblood levels, right? That's when they got Ultra Vibration. You know, Vibe Check and all that. This one, funny spell. The dungeon... Temple of the Fist, uniquely among Stormblood dungeons, had a property that basically almost, if not all of the mobs in the dungeon was immune to deep freeze. For some reason. Like, there was... It wasn't like, well, they're ice mobs. No. Like, there was no logical explanation as to why they would be immune to deep freeze. As far as I know, most of the mobs in Snowcloak are susceptible to being deep frozen and ultra vibrated. So, like, why Temple of the Fist? The reason why I know that is because the final boss in Temple of the Fist gives the Rose of Destruction spell. The first boss also technically gives basic instincts, but you can pick that up in the Shroud somewhere, I believe. No, wait, in Opal and Osea, as you can see. So why would you do that? But that meant, like, like, if I could, I pretty much soloed many of the duties that have spells, just because it was funny. I went into Temple of the Fist and almost immediately discovered that it, like, I couldn't do that. Like, that they were immune. And yes, Lee, I'll get to that. And I thought, that's hilarious! That makes this duty way harder. And I can't remember if they changed it in, like, a minor patch, like, a week later, or if it was, like, they didn't do anything about that until Endwalker or something. But they changed it at some point and labeled it as a bug fix, I believe. That it, like, that wasn't supposed to be like that. How? Like, that's what I'm saying. How? How in the world does that happen? Like, when they programmed the mobs for that dungeon, like, why did they have immunity to Ram's voice? Like, why were they immune to deep freeze? Like, was there, like, some specific reason for that? Like, what was it they actually tried to prevent you from doing by doing that? And I'm guessing that maybe it's just like some property that the mobs just happen to be given that just happened to make them immune to deep freeze. I don't know. I don't believe they were immune to stuns. It was specifically deep freeze, which was what made it so weird. And you might be sitting there thinking, okay, Kai, where are you going with this? And what I'm going with this is, you think A Realm Reborn is janky? It stayed jank. They were born in the jank, molded by it. And it's the same thing with, like, bosses in Final Fantasy XIV in general. Randomly, a boss will just not be immune to the death category of Blue Mage spells. What was it? Was it Ham that said yesterday or something? That the first boss in Matoya's Relict, the first boss, is susceptible to Doom. Just the first one. Again, I say, how? Why? Yeah, exactly. Really? That's what I thought. Why? Exactly, Disturbed. It could just be some random coding error. And you'd assume, Aya, that these kinds of things are added for a specific reason. Like, they give them those properties for some reason. But then again, yeah, I agree, Toss. Most of the time, I would prefer Rocket, but I can see the benefits to Doom. If Doom applying has a reasonably high chance in comparison to Missile, then Doom just means the boss dies in 6 GCDs. Whereas Missile, you have to land it, like, I would say like 3 or 4 times. Which means you have to, like, land 3 of them successfully. Mick says, speculating wildly here, but there are probably 100 properties for any given enemy. If I were programming this game, I'd create new enemies with templates, so a lot of those enemies would have default properties I've forgotten about. That's true. It is possible that there's just some random mob that that is immune to deep freeze, and the person who, you know, copy-pasted the templates for the mobs in Temple of the Fist happened to copy that one. Because it probably didn't matter, right? It's probably fine. But it then just adds to the question, like, okay, then who was patient zero then? Who was the OG random mob who's immune to deep freeze? But yeah, I agree. This is also something that I've talked about before, that I imagine that it would be extremely difficult to be, like, consider that when you're making dungeons, someone is designing that dungeon. Someone, like, remember, this is not random. When you go into Aetherfont, someone decided that the first pack has one big frost beast, 2 weird jellyfish guys, and when you run forward, 4 shark boys show up from the water. And they each have a stat line. The 4 shark boys has 1 stat line, the jellyfish has 1 stat line, and the frost beast has 1 stat line. And they have specific attacks each. Like, I can see the excitement of designing like a dungeon boss, despite it being like, with the difficulty that you're aiming for when designing that, it's like you're designing a boss to be beaten. I mean, you're just like, when you're designing video games, you're generally designing the game to be beaten, right? But with such low stakes, I could see how a lot of people would say, "No, that sounds really boring." But I could see like just deciding how the boss fight will go, and then see, is this fun? Is this interesting to interact with? Is this new and exciting in some way? And once you've figured out whether that is the case or not, you then go on to say, how much damage should it do? And that's like the next step. But for the trash packs, that must be insanely hard to design. Because you basically have to design these mobs to just get dumpstered. But they have to be hard enough that they can beat you. They can beat you, but mainly with auto attacks. So I could imagine, if I was to design a dungeon, that I would certainly just give the mobs in the trash packs like random immunities and random things you need to react to. Like, I'm shocked that big trash pack with like a guy that needs to be interrupted or bad things happen is rare. Like, there's one, or like there's 2 of, no wait, there's 3 of them, I believe. There's 3 in Dawn Meg. And there's like this one pack in the twinning with 2 dragon boys that do this like berserk thing often enough that if the tank like alternates interrupting one and stunning the other and like switching, they can do it alone. Because like, but otherwise you'd need 2 players, right? Yeah, random immunities would make trash mobs much more interesting. The problem there is, of course, that random immunities, meaning what? This mob is immune to stuns. If you give them any other immunities, what'll happen is Temple of the Fist. When was Temple of the Fist added to the game? Patch 4.0. So that would mean Stormblood release. June 2017. When did Blue Mage get upgraded to max level 70? It was sometime in Shadowbringers. Sorry about that. Patch 5.4, that was December 2020. So, like, nearly 3 years later, the fact that all of the mobs in Temple of the Fist happen to be immune to Deep Freeze turned out to be relevant. Turns out Bales' Wall can be soloed as a warrior. Nice. Well done. How many tries did the first boss take? Because it sounded like that was the problem. Dia says I'll need proof. I'm pretty sure Cat Damon recorded it. Yeah, that is the weird thing here. Is that if you give the mob some random quirk or immunity or something, the problem is that, like, the players at large, because of the way Final Fantasy XIV is designed, wouldn't notice. Like, if they made mobs in a dungeon that healed when you hit them with a critical hit, you would notice. But if they're immune to stuns, you'd just be like, that's weird. And just kill them anyway. If they're immune to sleep, like, that would be something that would show up, like, in a random Mythbuster episode someday, maybe. Or in, like, a random, like, collection of random facts. And it's simply because immune to AoE, that would actually be an interesting one. Imagine you run into, imagine everyone, if you will, Dawn Trail releases. The first dungeon is reached. The Herbledy-Gurgledy of Schmagelrog. And that's a reference for those that know it. The Herbledy-Gurgledy is not a reference, but Schmagelrog is. And your tank goes ahead and pulls, like, wall to wall all the way, and you start cleaving, and you notice that the mobs are taking basically no damage. And as you're going down, you see it. They have a buff. Take 95% less damage from area of effect attacks. And the AoE component of otherwise mainly single target centric attacks. That would be funny. And then you finally beat them, single targeting them one at a time. And then you pull the next pack. And you see, as you pull the first pack, nothing happens. But as you pull the second pack, you see these, like, purple lines connect across and between the mobs from the two different packs, as if the two packs have some sort of interaction. And you see that each mob gets, like, does 200% more damage and takes 50% less damage buff. And just smacks the tank into the floor. Basically, the encounter designer went, stop AoE pulling my dungeons. Respect my packs for a moment, please. That is, that would be really funny. You're welcome, Zeros. Also, random mobs that put Judgment Nisi on the party. Yeah, those that don't know. Is it the Manipulator from Alexander? Late in the duty. Some of you who don't know how the fight works, some of you may recall that sometimes what happens as the fight drags on to the end, both healers just explode and die. And then you kill the boss. The reason why is because the boss puts... I don't know if they're both called Judgment Nisi, but one healer gets a red hammer buff or debuff, and the other healer gets a blue hammer debuff, and it ticks down. If you get near anyone else, you hand them a copy of your debuff. Or it's Judgment Nisi A and B, fair enough. You hand them a copy of your debuff. If by any means you end up with both, you die. You just straight up, you die. Like, if you manage to pass by both healers, you die. If you manage to pass by someone, both healers, like that the healers got in contact with, you die. And often, weirdly often, the two healers will be hanging out like near each other, like near the center of the room or something. And then they get the debuffs, dead. Because they just immediately passed the debuffs to each other. That's the reason. The reason why a lot of people don't know this is because the way that it goes in your average group on A4N is both healers die, and you look at the boss who has less than 10% HP left, and you go, it's probably fine. Imagine you're pulling a pack and you see it in the chat box. Healer name has read their final sentence. Amelia adds, not that it would be useful for this challenge, but Sinistry doesn't get debuff stacks either. Either on application or on proc. Aspected Benefic and Essential Dignity does so, presumably same for region on White Mage. Indeed. I think we talked about Sinistry right at the start. The only reason why we went with Double Sage was because, well, in some weird way, Cardia is like permanent Sinistry in this specific context. Random dungeon mobs that have invisible AoE attacks, like the second or male boss pre-rework. There are random dungeon mobs that do that. Anyone done the Gigapole in Mount Gulg recently? Those big hulking boys with weirdly small wings and a tail, they do that move where they like stand up and ready to swipe with their tail. I'm pretty sure that doesn't have a telegraph. And I think they also do the lift their hand weirdly. And I don't think that has a telegraph. They just kind of do it. The moment when you get sniped by Vine Probe because the tank can't stand still. Did you know you can dodge that? I mean, it is funny to think about ways to make dungeons really mean so you can't do wall-to-wall pulls. And the thing is, I think a lot of players would like to have, like, a lot of players, not all players, a lot of players wouldn't mind it if dungeons were harder, especially trash packs. The problem is, you don't mind the first time you do it, because, like, you want the challenge. You might not mind the 5th time you do it. You might not mind the 10th time you do it. Some of you might not mind the 100th time you do it. But I can tell you that I'm actually pretty happy that Fell Court of Troya isn't any harder than that, because then you can get it done faster. Thank you for joining, Amelia. ISS, has the developers said that they don't like wall-to-wall pulls? I don't think they have. The only reason why we're talking about this is more so because wall-to-wall pulls are kind of like a symptom of a different problem, you could say, if it is a problem. it might not be a problem. It's a symptom of something else. By which I mean, the reason we're doing wall-to-wall pulls like this is because the packs are so easy that you can wall-to-wall pull them. Or, on the flip side, jobs are so insanely stacked with cooldowns that we can just walk over the packs. Whether that is a problem or not is up to like the individual, whether they think it's a problem. It's mostly that, and while it's usually normal to do wall-to-wall, yeah, in World of Warcraft it's also normal to do chain pulling and stuff. The reason why you do big pulls like that is because the packs are weak enough that you can. And in World of Warcraft, they did try to nip that in the bud. In Shadowlands, they made it so that AoE attacks had target caps. So, like, you stop doing maximum damage. And I also want to say, Aya, and this is really important, in WoW, it's usually normal to do wall-to-wall pulls, therefore it should be standard here too, is an extremely bad argument, because this isn't World of Warcraft. In Final Fantasy XIV, healers are expected, in some degree, to be attacking all the time. That should also be the standard in World of Warcraft. You see how it doesn't work? You see how that argument doesn't really work? Because that's not how it works in World of Warcraft. But that's because World of Warcraft is not Final Fantasy XIV. The way World of Warcraft fixes it is that in World of Warcraft, they have a lot more difficulty settings for dungeons, so that you can run the dungeon harder, so that, like, maybe you can still wall-to-wall pull it. That's neither here nor there. The point is that you can go, that was easy, and then tune up the difficulty further. We don't have that in Final Fantasy XIV, hence why we sometimes talk about it would be interesting if dungeons were harder. That's the reason. And yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Catch. That was kind of what I was getting at, is that the fact that dungeons are like the content that you spam as a like part of grinding stuff in the game is part of the reason why a lot of players might prefer if spammed content is not too hard. Like, all of the content in the duty roulettes that people spam, all of these, from here to here, and also this one technically, are designed to be easy enough that you can do it in one sitting. And you can. The reason why Mental Roulette isn't like that is because for some reason extremes are included. And a lot of mentors, me included, don't really mind that. But there are absolutely mentors that hate and despise that when they queue for Mental Roulette. Sometimes the fight just isn't winnable. And I imagine that part of the reason for some of these mentors is that the first time they got Ramu Extreme and their tanks just didn't get it, so you couldn't win. It's fine. The 5th time they had to deal with that, it's fine. The 10th time starts to get a little grating, and when they've done 1,000 mental roulettes, and remember you have to do 2,000 for the mount, then it starts to get a little, you know, you want to get it done, maybe. It's a long journey. And Girl, we did in fact beat it with 3, yes. We did it with 3 players and 10% echo. And we beat it like seconds before the Hardened Rage. And I used tinctures as well, 2 of them, to push for extra damage. And yes, precisely, Giraheen, That's the reason why Alliance raids, there's a weird subsection of players. Well, I don't know if they're weird, but there is a subsection of players that queue for Alliance raid, like for their daily, and expect it to be Crystal Tower, and they want it that way. Like, they would legitimately, potentially, find a person with a level 50 to 59 job, or at least not any other Alliance raids unlocked, so that they can guarantee they get Crystal Tower raids, because they're easier and faster. Even if getting the higher Alliance raids gives a bigger reward. Don't care, just want to get it done. And it's kind of that idea that it's fine that the content is hard, but eventually, it stops being fun that it is really hard. Angel says, I used one tincture at the end. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true, you were spamming healing potions. If we could ensure Evely's Alliance raid showed up for me in that roulette, I would in a heartbeat, at least for a little bit. You know, if there was ever a time where the Evely's raids would appear more frequently in Alliance raid roulette, it would be right now. Right now. If it's not, don't know what to tell you. The saddest thing about Crystal Tower is that all of the bosses from Labyrinth of the Ancients to World of Darkness are walked over so hard that you hardly need to do the mechanics. To the point that when I made the video about what happens if everyone is eaten by Cerberus, someone wrote a comment on it, I don't remember who, doesn't really matter I suppose, that said, I've been playing this game since A Realm Reborn, and I have never known how to enter the belly for Cerberus. That would mean they've played the game, maybe on and off, for 10 years. And they've not once actually interacted with that unique mechanic of Cerberus. Not once. That says more about Cerberus than them, I would actually say. Just play Black Mage, you get Valet every time. Warcraft Traveler says, I don't think anyone wants regular content to be hard. Just harder. Have things to do, be interesting, and stop make us feel like bots. And that makes sense, and I think the problem there is when's too much. How would you feel about a separate queue for harder versions of dungeons with better rewards? I think that would be a good idea. I've actually talked about this before. What would it take to make Fell Court of Troya hard? Let's just take the first boss. The ads do more damage. The ads have more HP. The ads come in waves after a timer, so you have to hurry so your tank doesn't get overwhelmed. So the boss doesn't wait for you. And, you know, because they come in waves, if you fall behind, the big head at the end, like doing the Hardened Rage, will just start casting. Like, they'll just start their thing, and you still have like 10 weird ads to deal with to cleave as well, so the tank doesn't die. And if you did that, I don't even think you would need, like, you give the mobs more HP, you make them do more damage, and you make the mechanics, like, flow a little faster, make the boss not actively wait for you. Just move it along a little bit. And you wouldn't even need to make the Hardened Rage on that boss go any faster, I don't think. You give the boss more HP, then, like, he would actually be able to survive your 2-minute burst. Assuming you have it, you probably spend it on some of the trash. But yeah, it would become more challenging. And you could do the same with the second boss. Give it more HP. And make the boss do more damage. And you're right, Cat Damon, you're right. If you've played for 10 years and not a single time been curious, that's your problem. That's true. But I will say that the argument that you could have gotten that far, because I believe the reasoning was very specific. And a little shocking, but this is what I've talked about time and time again. If the boss isn't capable of wiping you, then a lot of the time you have no incentive to figure out how the boss actually works. So this person might have done Cerberus many times, and every time he's just been like, oh, that's weird. What's this purple goop on the floor? What's that orb over there? That's some ads. Maybe I should help with those. And then Cerberus starts going Tommy ache, and the player sees like the chains people are doing, and like, oh, I don't have to do anything, it seems. People have got it covered. Like, as far as they know, and I know this is like, that would paint that person as extremely oblivious, but it's possible that they basically just go, well, the way Cerberus works is that after a certain amount of time, it summons a random orb on the floor, and it summons like goop on the floor, and it summons ads, but it seems like I don't have to participate in that, which is insane, I know. Not a single time been in B and looked at what the party is doing. Cat Damon, how often are you in party B and everyone in party B actually goes in the belly? Because it's not often for me. Like, the origin of A, all in the belly, B, belly time, C, can you believe that we're going in the belly, is a lot of players don't even bother. Even if they're in the group that is quote-unquote supposed to. If stand in an AoE before standing in another AoE is too complicated for you. Yeah, the thing is, how would you know that, like, basically, if you pay attention to the chat, you would see that people talk about the belly. So that should make you curious, right? But just, like, looking at the fight itself, what indication do you have that you need to be mini to go in the belly? And yes, again, your indication is the 7 other players. That's maybe a stretch. The 5 other players getting mini and getting eaten and not dying and then disappearing to somewhere. That's your indication. But there are a lot of players that are shockingly short-sighted. I don't know. Oblivious. I don't know. Like, speaking of which, how do you reach level 90 actively tanking and not being acquainted with the fact that Doton is the ninja's AoE and you should be putting the mobs in that? How? Right? That's where we're putting the line. If you think Doton is dangerous, then you probably think orb that makes you mini is bad for you. But you're right, Cat Damon. That's ultimately a them problem, right? That's not actually a Cerberus problem. Saab says, I had one tank that never seen the Doton area. Because they had all effects disabled. I'm like thinking back, like I'm like mind traveling back to World of Warcraft Legion, where right at launch, assassination rogues had this random proc that put down like a poison pool on the floor that did insane amounts of AoE damage. But for some reason, Blizzard had set the toggle to you can't see that, and you couldn't change it. Like, basically, World of Warcraft had done this for anything but like a healer effective thing. So the tank could legitimately not see it. So you had rogues basically screaming at the tank in the same way that ninjas sometimes go, "My Dutton! For crying out loud! Stand in it!" You had rogues going, "My poison pool!" And the tank is like, "What? Where? I can't see it." And the rogue can see it, but only the rogue can see it. Everyone is like, "You're hallucinating, man." The only indication the tank had is if I stand here in this empty space, the enemies die faster. Did WoW have floor markers? Yes. And can you place them in combat? Yes. And you may be wondering how I was so well acquainted with this. Well, I was my like friend group's main tank, and one of my best friends was an assassination rogue, screaming at me, "My poison pool!" And I'm like, "Where? Where?" And I'm pretty sure we solved it by having him like put down markers on it. But that shouldn't be necessary, right? Stand in the circle, it'll help me, my son. I'm pretty sure you can move the markers in combat in World of Warcraft. But yeah. Grand Chaos. In summary, you can beat Leviathan Extreme Synced with 3 players, 2 tanks and a healer. What am I talking about? 2 healers and a tank, obviously. I don't know what you do with a second tank. That's idiotic. Why would you bring 2 tanks to that fight? You can just use Provoke on the tail. 2 healers and a tank. And it appears to be impossible with 2 players simply because of the Hardened Rage. Long floor puddles shouldn't be a thing if chain pulling is the meta. True. But I believe those puddles were like 5 seconds. Like maybe 10. And they happened as a random proc, which didn't help. Cyanide says, when I went through Alexander a couple days ago, we wiped on A12 because not enough people went into the orbs and my jaw actually dropped. I wiped multiple times in the same group on A12 for a similar reason. Things tanks fear. Earthly Star. Well, we did have a conversation on the community server earlier on in the spoiler room. In the job action trailer, it looks like Earthly Star is not cast. We're hoping that doesn't mean it's gone. I don't believe Asylum was put down on the White Mage one. And I'm pretty sure that Sacred Soil wasn't placed in the Scholar one either, so there could be a connection there. With that said, I think this is the time to wrap up. If you enjoyed the wonderful company of the wonderful chat, or me, remember that there's a Discord community server that both Aradel and now I have shared in the chat. There you will also find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the following days. For example, tomorrow we have more Mythbusters. And in the announcement room, you can also see links to videos, streams, whatever it is, when they come out. And if you go to the role assignments room, you can grab the reminder role, and if you do, you'll get a notification whenever I do post a video or plan a stream. And you also additionally get an extra notification around 15 minutes before stream starts, so you don't miss a second. And if you enjoyed this particular stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it in the YouTube system. That actually tells the YouTube algorithm that you very much enjoyed this stream and you'd like other people to enjoy it as well. So thank you so much in advance. And you can of course also support the channel even more directly by becoming a member, gifting memberships, using the super chats. And if you don't want to use the YouTube system, there's also a Ko-Fi link in the description. All of it helps me directly with, being able to do all of this. Focus on making fun content for all of you to enjoy. And yeah, I think that's everything. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye.